Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Jeff at Lockdown Security, www.lockdownsecurity.ca. And today I'm bringing you a video on the brand new for 2024 Sony XAV-AX8500. Now, I do not have one of these radios in my hands yet, so I've got to make this virtual video. But I was just going through a Sony training PowerPoint presentation, and some of the new features of this radio forced me to make this video because I think that for large screen receivers, this radio has the potential to dominate the market in 2024 and beyond for a couple of reasons. And I will get into them in this video. So first, I want to just briefly play the Sony global review video, or the release video, I should say. So let me just turn this on right now. So as you can see, this is just a video that's showing the front screen and some of the main features, which I will also get into as well, because I think some of these main features are really cool, and you may not be aware that these are features in this radio. I'm going to pause it right there for the specific reason that obviously I'll include a link to this Sony video below in the video description, but I want to go through a couple of things with you. And here is the item on our website. So again, Sony XAV-AX8500. A few key takeaways on this. It's a 10.1-inch wireless Android Auto and wireless CarPlay receiver. It's got wired Android Auto. I'm not 100% about CarPlay. I've got to verify that. It's got an HDMI input, 5-volt RCA, and one of the cool things and one of the unique features is the shallow depth single DIN chassis. So what does that mean? That means that you've got a lot of installation options with this receiver. That means that you can put it in a single DIN opening or a double DIN opening. For those of you who don't know what that terminology means, single DIN is essentially a standard size of your car stereo. Double DIN is also the standard size. It's basically two of the single DINs stacked one on top of one another. This particular radio is designed to go into a single DIN chassis. So if you're mounting it in a double DIN, you'd have to get a filler, or you'd have to decide whether you want to put it on the top or the lower portion of the double DIN mounting location. This happens to be a shallow depth single DIN chassis. So why that's key is many vehicles today, especially with a lot of the newer integrated dash units where you have these larger screen factory radios, they don't have a lot of depth behind the dash. So you need to get a receiver that's got a shallow depth chassis. And this is pretty unique. One of the key unique features of this is that it's not only a single DIN chassis, it's a shallow single DIN chassis. So that's huge because that basically opens up your installation options even wider, and can put this radio into a lot more of the newer vehicles. It's actually got a very cool feature in that it's compatible with iData Link Maestro. This is news to me. When the radio was first released, I was under the impression that it was not going to be integrated with Maestro because there's not many Sony receivers that are, and the only 10-inch Sony receiver that was Maestro compatible was the Mobile ES XAV-AX9500. So it's really cool that they've basically brought Maestro compatibility into the XAV-AX8500. And essentially it supports all major Maestro capabilities with an integration harness. Specific capabilities may vary based on Maestro coverage and vehicle function. So what that means is that based on your vehicle make, model, year, and the Maestro firmware that you download onto a Maestro RR will determine what features you get on the radio. There's also a note saying that there is no radar detector integration for K40 or Escort when you're using the XAV-AX8500. I think that might be a little bit short-sighted. I don't know why they don't include the radar detector coverage, but I'll be honest with you, in many places of the world and many places in North America where this radio is going to be sold, Radar detectors are not legal anyway, so I don't think that's going to affect sales all that much. I know at Lockdown Security, we haven't done really any radar detector integrations because in the province of Ontario, where we're based, radar detectors are not legal or not permitted to be used. But the key feature that is a game changer, I have been waiting for a receiver to come out with this feature for so long, is as follows. This right here. Now, let me zoom in on that. It's basically the first radio that I'm aware of that has Maestro or wired input triggers for cameras. What does that mean? That means that this radio now has a 3-camera input. Now, let me preface this by saying Kenwood and JVC by default, because they're partner companies, was one of the first radio manufacturers that released a radio that had 4 camera inputs. And now that has been expanded across pretty much the entire model lineup of receivers, except for the entry-level ones with Kenwood and JVC. But those receivers do not have a wired trigger input, which is a huge oversight on Kenwood and JVC's behalf. What does that mean? That means that on Kenwood JVC, if you have 4 cameras plugged in, which would be front, left, right, rear, if you wanted to switch between those cameras, you'd have to touch the screen or invest in a video switcher. Well, I am here to tell you that Sony has changed the game and they have included a video switcher in this receiver, the XAV-AX8500, with wired inputs, which can be controlled either through your Maestro module, which is going to have turn signal input, reverse input, or, and this is the key, you can actually have wired trigger inputs, which is awesome. Now, this radio has 3 inputs, so 1 less than Kenwood JVC. It's got a rear cam, left, and a right cam. I'll be honest with you, that's what the majority of people are going to be using. This is, I can't begin to tell you how big of a game changer this is. I think this is going to increase sales of this receiver by a wide margin for anybody that wants to add multiple cameras, side view cameras and rear view cameras. Now this radio has that video switcher built in, which is going to save you a few $100, if not more, because turn signal video switchers, those devices that essentially switch video when you hit the left or the right turn signal, are quite expensive, and they add to the cost of a receiver. And you can see this receiver right now, the price is $1,299.99 as of the recording of this video. That price is subject to change with promotions and such, but currently right now, it's March 12th, 2024. This is the go-to-market price when this receiver is released. It will be released any day now in March. In fact, I think stock is already filtering through a lot of dealers. We don't have our first ones yet, but we are excited to get them. I want to go through one other thing. I have a training PowerPoint here, and I just want to go through a few of the things here. So a couple of the other really cool new features. So essentially, you have got adjustments to accommodate most installations. So you've got vertical up and down, as well as horizontal left and right screen adjustments. That's also a game changer because many of the 10-inch plus receivers, or I should say 8-inch large screen receivers, they're 8-inch, 9-inch, 10-inch, 11-inch receivers with these big screens, don't have this sort of adjustability on the screen. So this is definitely a game changer for that. It's got innovative post-installation tilt and swivel. That means that you can actually move the screen left and right and tilt it up and down so you can get the most optimum viewing range for your viewing needs. And you can see here, the customer can tilt the face backward or forward and swivel to the left or right with no tools. Simply grab the edges and move it to the desired position. So essentially, as long as the radio is mounted solidly, that feature will work. So obviously the installers who are putting this in, including us at Lockdown Security, will have to make sure that the radio is either bolted in or solidly mounted. But this is definitely a game changer, because if you have ever installed a large screen receiver before, you will know that to adjust a lot of the angles, most of them require you to take a screw out or set your position and then insert or thread a lock screw and it locks that viewing angle into place. That's not the case with this new Sony receiver. It's adjustable on the fly. Essentially, I've already talked about the shallow depth single DIN chassis. You've got the anti-glare screen technology. Now, me personally, I don't really put a lot of attention into this, but I got to tell you, depending on the vehicle and how the radio is mounted, anti-glare can be very, very important. You can see display panel with no anti-glare, here it is, and display panel with anti-glare, here it is. So you can see, obviously, by this image, there's a big difference. The only real way to appreciate this difference is if you had this receiver mounted in a vehicle. I can tell you that there are customers out there, and I'm sure a lot of people in the comments, you can make a comment. If you've installed a new aftermarket receiver that you've been excited for, you put it in your vehicle, and then all of a sudden you've got glare issues, it definitely can take the wind out of your sails with your new receiver. So it's really cool that the XAV-AX8500 has anti-glare technology in it. As you can see, this kind of comes to my point where I've got to clarify this. It says wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay, and wireless/wired Android Auto. So I have to confirm whether it is wireless and wired only for Android Auto. I know on a couple of the other Sony receivers, it's been wireless only for CarPlay and Android Auto, which I personally am not a big fan of wireless only because I like to plug my phones in and charge them. But obviously the feature that everybody wants today is wireless. So it's good that this receiver has it for CarPlay and Android Auto, but I hope to clarify whether or not it has wired Apple CarPlay support as well. Again, I'd add a link Maestro compatibility. I've already gone through that. The game-changing feature, which is the wired input triggers. This is why I'm making this video, because this is such a huge deal. I am definitely going to be promoting this feature. And then it's got Sony's quick wake up feature. This is actually pretty key because a lot of receivers, even today in 2024, a lot of receivers, the processor in them takes a while to boot up. That means when you turn the vehicle on, it takes some receivers can take up to 15, 20, 25 seconds to fully boot up, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're ready to listen to the radio, or you want to get that radio working, or you have something that you need to do with your entertainment unit in the car, boot up time is definitely an important consideration. You can see here the radio and all systems, including backup camera, Adaptive Maestro, and all audio inputs are operational in less than 8 seconds after vehicle start. So less than 8 seconds after the ignition input is on or it's been received by the receiver, you will have a working radio. For your audio adjustments, you've got a 14-band EQ with time alignment, which is definitely cool. You can see an image. This is what the actual EQ looks like on the screen. You've got high-res audio file playback. This is something that's been coming up actually a lot more recently, where customers are asking us what bit rate and what file types do the receivers provide, or what do they play, what do they support? And here you go. This is a listing of all the file types, their bit rate, as well as the frequency response of them. So if you're into digital music, which 99% of people nowadays are, this is going to be important for those of you who are audiophiles out there who want to make sure that you get the highest bit rate and the largest frequency response in your digital media playback. And Sony has always been a market leader when it comes to that. So you can see high-res audio file playback. It's got USB-C connection with 3 amp charging. That's pretty huge. 3 amp, usually it's 1 amp or 2 amp. So 3 amp fast charging, charge your phone or other portable device quickly with the high amp output. You can see it's got a mini HDMI right here, which it goes into in the next slide. USB-C at the back of the radio. So the cables do not come with the receiver, so you will have to basically provide those cables, or your installer will. But those are easily sourced, and obviously you've got 3 amps of current support. Micro HDMI AV input. Play audio through the radio and video on the screen from compatible devices with HDMI outputs into the onboard micro HDMI input. So if you've got a phone that's got the capability of having an HDMI output, and you can get it down to a micro HDMI standard with your adapters or cables, you have the capability of playing audio and video from that device, which is quite cool. I mean, I think that's awesome. It gives you ultimate flexibility for inputs, and it keeps it in the digital realm with HDMI. Uh, Bluetooth with LDAC high-res streaming, that is awesome as well. Again, Sony has put a priority on high-res formats and audio quality. It's essentially got Sony's high-quality Bluetooth chip with LDAC, high-res audio streaming capability with compatible phones and devices. I've got to double check what this stands for. I'm assuming it's digital audio converter. I'm not 100% what the L stands for. I should know that, but in this particular video, I did not research that. But you can see it's got LDAC high-res streaming built in, customizable wallpaper. So you've essentially got the ability to customize the background screen with different colors. You can upload a 1280 by 720 JPEG image as a custom wallpaper for the home screen as well. A lot of people like to do that, pictures of their car, vehicle logos, family pictures, that type of thing for the home screen of your radio, which is awesome. You've got customizable icon and app layouts, so you can essentially change all of the inputs. And you can see here, you've got rear cam, camera 1, camera 2. So that's going back to that input that I was telling you about, which is the game-changing feature of this radio. You can see that it's got the icons there. And I want to just touch upon the icons with Sony. So here's the thing with Sony. Why I love Sony as a receiver manufacturer, I've got to be honest with you, it's how basic their user interface is. Now, this can be a positive and a negative. Some people like flashy user interfaces. And for those people, I would say go with Alpine, Pioneer, or Kenwood specifically. Kenwood definitely has the nicest user interface, but that would be for flashiness. But for usability, ease of use, simplicity, and something that just works all the time that you can get used to and really understand, Sony by far takes the cake with regards to the best user interface out there. Their icon-based user interface is very simple. It's very basic. There's no bells and whistles. And let's be honest, that's important when you're driving a vehicle because you don't want to be distracted by user interfaces that are flashy. You just want something that's going to work, especially if you're in a winter climate, you're wearing gloves, or you've got something, you're on the go, you're in a rush. You just want to have a user interface that works, that's easy to use. And guess what? This is fully configurable, which is awesome. And then you've got this customizable center button. So the hard buttons down along the bottom, it's got a center button that's customizable. So you can do different things with it. So it's like a quick button. So something that you routinely use might be mute, display off, source change, etc. You can program the center button to do that. That's awesome. I think that is a feature which shows that Sony has real world users as their engineers who understand the environment of the car and understand that these hard buttons are important. I wish they would put a volume dial myself, but I'm okay with hard buttons for volume up, volume down. I'm okay with this hard button down along the bottom, and I'm definitely okay with the simplistic user interface and how nice this looks. You can see it's a very classy looking radio. So it's amazing to see this feature with regards to the camera switching input. I'm so happy that they have decided to build this into this receiver. And I really think that anybody that's looking for one of the best car audio large screen receivers on the market in 2024, you need to be looking at the Sony XAV-AX8500. So that concludes this video. I went on a little bit longer than I wanted to. I want to just go through with you where you can find this receiver. As you can see, I've got a banner ad playing along the bottom, which essentially gives you a link to it on our website. But in case you don't have a pen or paper and you miss this link, it's www.lockdownsecurity.ca. We're an authorized Sony retailer. We would love to assist you with anything from Sony car audio that you need. We offer sales, installation, technical support. We are here to support our customers, and we are always offering the best pricing that we can out there. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It goes a long way to help us make more videos like this in the future. If you need to reach us, 1-866-824-4118, sales@lockdownsecurity.ca, www.lockdownsecurity.ca is our website as shown on the screen. We do automotive security, remote starters, dash cameras. We do car audio, driver safety, accessories, lighting, all sorts of electronics for your vehicle. And we would love to hear from you. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video on the XAV-AX8500. Thank you.